everyone to the start of this series of seminars related to languages here at Day Translations. At Day Translations, we love languages and people and how they can grow, interact, and evolve while using different languages. During this series, we will have our known interviewing CEO and founder of Day Translations Inc., Sean Patrick Hopwood, interviewing several people connected to languages and to translation and the interpreting world. For this first episode, we are talking with Kyle Strickland, and Kyle has been studying Mandarin for the better part of his last 10 years. He graduated in ETSU with a degree in computer science IT, and he has self-studied Mandarin for 3 years before ultimately deciding to prioritize his language studies and move to China, where he has worked as an English teacher for the last 5 years. Since last February, after coming back to the States, he's been creating videos with bilingual subtitles on TikTok, where he posts almost daily about educational Chinese language and learning content. Thank you, Kyle, for being here with us, and it was very nice to meet you. And now I'm going to pass on to you, Sean.
Hi, thank you very much, Alejandra. Yes, at Day Translations, I'm really passionate about languages. And I met Kyle a few months ago. My wonderful Chinese teacher introduced me to him, and his Chinese skills are amazing. I'm a polyglot myself. I'm really amazed with someone else who has this ability. And I started learning Chinese about 9 months ago. And so I realized how hard it is. And the way he speaks is just wonderful. So Kyle, nice to have you here. We met a few months ago. We've been getting to know each other. So I'm glad you agreed to do this interview with me.
Hey, Sean. Yeah, man. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and talk to you. It's going to be fun.
Thanks. So what languages do you speak?
Native English speaker, but I grew up in like the Appalachian Mountain area here in Northeast Tennessee. So, I mean, if Appalachian counts as a language, I guess I'm bilingual as well from the get-go. And then just Mandarin. So, So 2 formal languages and 1 little dialect, mountain dialect.
Yeah, that's great. I grew up in the country in Florida, but I know Appalachia's a whole nother world. I went to Tennessee for the first time last year, and I loved it. I got to go to Knoxville and Pigeon Forge. It was amazing. It's just so different. There's so many different parts of the United States that are so different from each other. It's really nice to experience.
Yeah, that's a really nice area too. I have family, like half my dad's part of the family is from Knoxville, and Pigeon Forge is and Dollywood there. That's where I vacationed when I was a kid. Yeah. Because we're like 8-hour drive from the beach. So we just go to Dollywood, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like Pigeon Forge, the cabins, we like the Smoky Mountains. There's the aquarium there. Like this is our little mountain paradise that we just kind of, we never leave like a 2-hour radius. You don't have to.
I went to Dollywood too. It was amazing. So cool. Like being from Tennessee, I'm pretty sure the Chinese population is not really dense there. So what made you get so interested in the Chinese culture and language?
I think like a few years back, there was these like sister colleges between I think that's what they're called, between my university, ETSU, and a few universities throughout China. And there was probably 300 or 400 foreign exchange students going back and forth between these programs. Okay. So I had just I had some classmates in IT, and I played basketball in the rec center. And I don't know why, I just kind of naturally gravitated towards them. I don't know. I just like their play style of basketball better. Yeah. They're like half court, 3-on-3, chill, just for fun. Like, I'm not like a professional athlete over here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't know. I met some really cool foreign exchange students that came to my university. And like you said, there's not a very high dense population. So that was really it was very new and really interesting. And I realized that I was a lot more like them than maybe some of the people around me that I grew up with. So I just kind of took it full tilt. I was like, this is what I want to do.
That's interesting. What do you feel the Chinese people still have that same passion for basketball, or do you feel like it's their number one sport right now, or what do you feel?
They love the NBA. They ever since Yao Ming came to the Rockets, like anywhere in China, if you just stop and say 火箭, like somebody will turn their eyes and be like, y'all mean Tracy McGrady? I mean, like, it's like they love it, and basketball is just a sport that you can go out and play by yourself. It's stress free. So a lot of kids growing up in China that maybe like have some like pressures from their studies or their parents or like society and stuff like that, they can just vent by just tossing a ball in a hoop. You know what I mean? Like, so just down to, the very fundamentals, they love the sport. And in terms of like competing, we take it to a more level where like I could twist my ankle, but no blood, no foul. I'm winning this game. They tend to like stick more like safety and safety and staying like unscathed, and everybody walks out of here 100% health bar. Like they don't like hurting themselves just for the sake of winning a casual basketball game. So like mentalities kind of clash, but I like that. It was really cool.
Yeah, and I play soccer with some Chinese people, and I've noticed some things about the culture that are really interesting. It's really nice to get that different perspective on the culture. I love it. So when you now that you speak another language, do you find, and personally for me, I speak another language, and I feel like you and I have had a lot to talk about. So what do you feel like there's a common bond between people who are polyglots or people who speak another language, like something that we both get about each other that brings us together?
I mean, when you leave America, like I can only speak for myself. So I don't mean to sound like that, but if you leave Tennessee, you leave the South, and then you leave America, you start realizing people that know 3 or 4 languages is like the norm. Like outside of where, this little safety net that we have grown up in. So foreign languages to me were always kind of like just a hassle, something I didn't want to do in middle school. You know what I'm saying? But if you can actually, like, for people that can find passion in another language, well, that's all. It also goes beyond the language. Like if you enjoy a language, well, you have to enjoy the culture. You have to enjoy everything that comes with it. So it's just like that open-mindedness and that realization that like what I have right now is only a blip of like what's out there. And it's kind of like just that mindset of like exploration. What can I learn? What can I see? Like there's a wall, I want to climb over it. Some people would look at a wall and be like, okay, I'm safe on this side. Let's farm and bring vegetables. I'm like, I want to see what's on the other side. You know what I'm saying? So language was kind of like my grappling hook. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then, modern terms, you could be like my plane ticket, you know what I'm saying? But just to finish off that metaphor. So like, I think people like us, or when I say that, but just people that are bilingual or something like that, like bicultural, it just brings that mentality, that open-mindedness. Everybody can bring something to the table. I don't have to be so set in my ways, and that there's a distinct departure there. Like
Exactly. And it's helped me a lot too with even running my business. I speak a few languages, and the ability to speak these other languages helped me understand cultures. I don't speak Hindi, but I work with a lot of people from India, and it has helped me a lot in relating to them and working with them. And I work with people from South America, Central America, and now a lot of people from Asia, like Japan, Singapore, China. It's really helped me to relate to them, because a lot of times if people don't have that same cultural understanding, I get to be the one who kind of acquiesces to them. I get to be the one who kind of adapts to them. And I like that. I like to adapt to other people, and I like to make them feel welcome. Even in, I live in Florida, and I live in Tampa, Florida. It's really diverse here, but I kind of get to I get to speak to a lot of people from other cultures, and I also get to make them feel welcome at the same time. And I really like that. But I was going to ask you about Chinese. I don't know if there's a ranking for the hardest languages in the world, but I think China would be up.
I'm pretty sure I saw like a chart of like all the languages, but they were ranked based on your native language, right?
Yeah.
So for a native Korean or a native Japanese speaker or like native Vietnamese speaker, something like that, they may be, there just may be more similarities between their languages and they can pick up Chinese easier. Like if you're raised or you grow up in Japan, half of the characters you learn in Japanese are literally just Chinese characters. So you could, after I learned Mandarin, my first trip to Tokyo, I was like, I know what streets there are. I know where the bathroom is. I can read a menu. I know what's chicken, beef, and pork. I know where the salads are. I know, I know where the subway is. I know the exit. I mean, like I can read everything. You know what I mean? So I mean, that's kind of cool. But for English, native English speakers, Mandarin is arguably the hardest. And then Arabic, and then any other Asian language, just like English and then Asian languages in general, but specifically Mandarin. They're just like on the opposite ends of the scale. Yeah. So,
and for me personally, I speak and read and write Arabic. And and whenever I lived in Morocco for a while, and whenever I have some friends from Afghanistan and some Iranian friends, and so I can read their language. And so my Iranian friend gave me this book in Farsi. And I just started reading it. I have no idea what I'm saying, but I can read it because it's the same alphabet. So it's interesting because, we use the Latin alphabet in English. A lot of people can read something in French or Spanish or, Italian. They don't know what they're saying, but you can read it because it's the same alphabet. So that facilitates the learning from Chinese to Japanese or something like that.
I think the only Asian language that I'm aware of that's similar is Korean. Like you can read, but you don't know what you're saying. Yeah. Like in Chinese, you could read pinyin without knowing what you're saying. Yeah. But I don't think you'd be able to read characters without knowing what you're saying. Like if you can read the character, you probably remember what it means in English. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But there's no alphabet. And then pinyin is like,
and the Vietnamese used to use the Chinese characters, correct? Or is that
I'm not sure. Yeah. I just know in the Japanese language. I think it's called
50 years ago.
Or something.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know about that.
We can Google.
I'll check it out. So I understand that you were learning Chinese for like 3 years in the United States, and then you decided just to move to China. Like, how much Chinese did you know? Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So how much Chinese did you know before you left? And how quickly did it accelerate when you got to China?
Gotcha. Are you aware of like the HSK tests or anything like that?
Yes, there's 6 levels, right?
Right. So it's being updated in 15 days on July 1st. HSK 3.0 is now, and now it's 9 levels. But the old system, there's 6 levels. And at that time, I was at about HSK 3. Okay. So about 1,200 vocabulary in all. And I mean, that was 3 years too. So I had done a few like audio based language programs that were just like to get your speaking and your listening kind of up. But I was doing it all by myself, all on my computer. I bought some textbooks that I was just kind of like going through just to have some sort of like systematic feel where I wasn't just like so lost in whatever. And, I mean, it was really bad, honestly. This story is not, this isn't like a Rocky story or anything, but, no, I pretty much, I probably watched through hundreds of episodes, 30-minute to hour-long episodes of TV shows. I probably learned 20 to 30 songs, like full, like lyrics, just because I wanted to expose myself. I had 3 years, so that's really not that, impressive. And then I maybe went through like maybe 4 textbooks. That was like maybe 2 years of college. It was like a collegiate textbook that I had bought. And then even after all that, and 3 years of that, when I moved to China, like the only thing I could do was ask this guy if this was chicken. I was like in a buffet in a hotel in Shanghai because I went to teach English. and they brought us in for like a week of training to get our TEFL certificates. And it was like this seminar in Songjiang in a hotel in Shanghai. And I was like, awesome, this is the first time I get to use it. And it was like, there was like 2 different types of meats. And I thought this was chicken. I was like, is that chicken? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, that's all I can say. Literally, this is terrible.
Was it frustrating? Like you feel like you did so much and then you get there and it's like overwhelming, like how little you actually know when you get there.
Yeah, it's learning Chinese is like trying to climb Everest by yourself. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like there were already times just from watching TV when I realized that like I can't understand what they're saying. I'm listening to a song, I can't pick out the words. You know, like I mean for years, you know. So when I got there, it was just. I mean, if I hadn't studied for 3 years, I probably would have just like melted and like just like only hung out with bilingual Chinese speakers or English friends. But it was really, really, really rough, and it took like 3 or 4 months to acclimate. After the initial like 3 or 4 months, going into that first half year, I was able to speak confidently, but it was still bad. You know, but I had broken the barrier of like having to translate everything in my head. So I've seen your TikTok videos and I've heard you speak to people. I mean, your Chinese is amazing now. Your accent, your tones are wonderful. What is your HSK level now? I mean, I took HSK 6 like 2 years ago. So, and the only thing I really did, so like the HSK 5, I was doing like, I just did like a mock test on the internet, and I was like, I could multitask 10 things while doing this. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, this is easy. And then HSK 6 is more of like a test taker's test. Yeah. Now it's like, you know, time constraints and, you know, things like that are like adding difficulties, you know what I'm saying? But I went in there and it was okay. It was pretty decent. And then now I've been outside of HSK, like in my Pleco, in my dictionary, I have a custom category. It's literally called HSK, like outside of HSK, everything but HSK. It's like this massive category that's been building for the last 2 years. So it's updating. I'm going to be doing that, but I'm going to get the highest level. I mean, there can't be a Chinese test out there I haven't taken. Yeah. You know, that's like my personal vendetta. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't
to know it all.
To know it all. Yeah, it's like that Pokemon attitude, bro. Yeah. I grew up listening to Gotta Catch 'Em All, and now I'm learning them all. Like these characters, I mean, like you got to know them all, man. That's
amazing. And what I found is like I can kind of have a conversation, short conversations in Chinese now, but the characters are just overwhelming. Right. How do you feel like the characters are one of the biggest barriers into learning Chinese? Or how are you with the characters now? You write fluently, read well?
I use pinyin and I type on like virtual keyboards or whatever. Mm-hmm. So basically, if you can spell the word in pinyin and you can read the character, you can choose the right one. Yeah. Right? So like in terms of writing, like there's probably 300 or 400 basic characters that I could just like think of in my head. Like one is just one horizontal stroke. 2 is like a little one and a slightly larger horizontal stroke. Yeah. I do know the stroke order. Like if you show me a picture of a character that has like 30 strokes, like I can write it in the right order. I did spend time doing that. I spent time making sure that like in the grid paper that your horizontal lines were as long as they should be. You know what I mean? And like the characters' proportions were right. I did do that. But reading for me now is easier because once you learn, I feel like if you learn the alphabet, reading English becomes easier. I know that sounds stupid, but if you learn the radicals of Chinese characters, like the first 100 or so, but if you master all 200 of them, you literally just have like a 60 to 70% like insight with like tone tips, pronunciation tips. And it's just like you look at a new word and you literally look at it for 2 seconds and you think of the tone and then it just boom, you just remember it. Because there's just so many elements to the characters that you can do mental hook, that you can drive mental hooks into. You know what I mean? There's so many of those little hook holds on the side of the character, and you can just be like, oh, you know, there's just components and stuff. So that's actually the easiest part now. But
that's good. That's encouraging for me because that's one of the most daunting things for me are the characters. Right. What did you get some kind of like sense of euphoria whenever you started realizing you can understand and have conversations with people in Chinese? And how did that feel? Do you remember the first time?
I mean, the first time, I mean, I remember my first year in China, I could only get to like 4 or 5 sentences with like friends I'd make, like playing basketball or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'd never be able to go past there. But I mean, it's been so long, man, because like the last 2 years that I lived in China was literally just like normal local person, you know, like I completely integrated myself in. The first time was probably when I was in Shanghai and I was like doing in-home tutoring, and I would be greeted by the kids' parents. And then after we get out of class, maybe they'll have like a little fruit thing and, you know, like give you some tea or some boiled water and then like send you out the door and be like, thank you or whatever. And then I go back on an hour-long subway. Yeah. But like when I was able to talk, I realized I was able to talk to people like 50 and up. 25 to 35, kids, teenagers. When I was able to talk to every single different age group and have something to say, and, you know, like I know how to take this conversation and things that they like and like in their popular culture and stuff. And I was able, it's kind of like playing this like mental inception game, you know what I'm saying? Like Minority Report kind of stuff, you know?
Exactly.
And like, so like, that was like probably like when it really started like hitting me, but I was doing in-home tutoring every single day. So I was coming into contact with different people, different age groups, different accents every single day. So it was literally just like hardcore boot camp. You know what I mean? You just come out like a super soldier kind of a thing. So,
It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. I mean, language is beautiful. So now that you're back in the United States, what are you doing? How are you using your Chinese? How has it helped you back here?
Well, I came back last February and I actually started a YouTube channel where I was making like fitness and travel vlogs, but I would make sure that they would have subtitles, or I would speak Chinese in the videos, because I just wanted to start making Chinese content and stuff like that. So obviously there's no like real like Chinese population here. I still watch probably like an hour of Chinese TV every day. Like just for fun, just because it's like my normal routine. I like to watch a debate competition, or I like to watch a singing competition or a rap competition, or like things I'm interested in. I keep up with figures in popular culture and like Chinese hip hop and rap and singing and music and entertainment and stuff. So it's kind of just like how you would keep up with your own thing. But after living in China for so long, I don't really keep up with a lot of English or American stuff really anymore. And so I started using TikTok. So TikTok is really what I've been doing since. And Mandarin has been, you know, I've pretty much just like, I was an IT major in school, but then like kind of self-learned Mandarin for the later 10 years of my life, right? So this is basically the foundation of my career. So either I want to do like translation work, or I want to do like have my videos take off and do collaborations and just make, you know, Mandarin to English bilingual content. So that's basically the whole driving force of what I'm trying to do right now. So
and everyone here has a wonderful TikTok channel. I mean, it's funny, it's charismatic, and it teaches you a lot about Chinese, especially he can really help you relate to like native English speakers like myself. So you should definitely check out his channel. There's so many things that you said that make me want to ask more questions, but it's just amazing all the things you can do with Chinese. I have more. Well, I guess I'll ask the other question that came to my mind. So, did you think that your IT background helped you with Chinese? Do you think there's any relation between programming languages and spoken languages?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because IT is all about least amount of effort, largest result. Okay. So when it comes to remembering something, you want to use the least amount of effort possible to remember something, but then categorize it and organize it in an exceptional way. So so I would use, I mean, you should see the first 2 years of my Google Drive, dude. I had like literally like 50,000 plus Excel entries, you know, like character, pinyin, notes, English. I mean, that was like my first thing. Then I found Pleco. And even now in Pleco, like I have at least 100 categories with like over 1,000 subcategories of just like idioms, daily use proverbs, verbs, adjectives, nouns, pronouns, food, you know, like, and then all these, you know, just everything. So IT, I'm basically just being database, pretty much like I pretty much just used a database to learn and just put everything in Chinese. Because if you miss a word, you miss an opportunity to learn. And nobody can remember 100% of everything that they see. We're not Sheldon Cooper, right? So what do you want to do? The most efficient way to write it down, and try to get like your retention, like if you study this once and then you forget it, you have to study it again. So now you have to spend more time on it. And if you forget it, and then you have to study it again and spend more time on it. But if you effectively learn it, you don't have to spend time reviewing. And then therefore, but all these concepts and all these ideas are from IT. When you're like designing apps, you want the app to run quickly. You want it to perform processes, but it also has to perform quickly, right? So it's like there's all these caveats and things. So, and then IT, it just, I took a lot of classes that I wasn't super interested in, so some aspects of Chinese, you have to like brute force it from the beginning. You have to have that mentality of like, study something for 10 hours that makes you want to rip your eyeballs out.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like it teaches you how to study. So for sure. What about you? Like how did you learn your languages?
Well, I did that a lot. The same thing you did. I did that with Spanish a lot. I created actually things that helped me learn the language the way I want to learn. For me, I learned a language by applying it. So I would actually, I want to know vocabulary and I want to know the structure. And so I wrote out the structure of, Spanish, the past, present, future. And then I realized there's a lot of different tenses in Spanish. There's I think more than 14. There's the, subjunctive, there's the perfect, there's something called the pluperfect. There's all these different tenses. There's the present progressive, the past progressive. So I just wrote it all out on a piece of paper and I visualized it. And then and after that, it was just about vocabulary. And obviously living in Florida, it's really easy to practice. So I didn't even have to go to another country to learn it. But and with the French, I kind of did the same. And with Arabic, I tried to learn a lot of these also. I also tried to learn a lot of these languages while I was young, because I was always told that you learn, more when you're young. But I'm also trying to defy that at the same time. I'm older now, and I'm starting with the Chinese. I feel like it's going a little bit slow, but I'm learning more every day. I'm taking classes twice a week now, and I love it. So I don't know if I speak a little German, and I've actually noticed that I'm forgetting a lot of German, and I'm making space for the Chinese because there's a lot of languages. I don't really believe anyone can be fluent in more than 3 or 4 languages, like totally fluent. I think that maybe they can, but not, you can speak a bunch of languages, a little bit, but maybe 3 or 4 max. But I was going to ask you another thing. When you came back to the United States, did you get any kind of culture shock coming back? Did you feel weird, out of place or anything? I almost still do, like every day. Not even going to lie. But the first day I got back, I have this like designated friend who lives in Knoxville who comes to the Atlanta airport to pick me up. So like I fly out of Atlanta because it's more, I don't have to like, transition between different airplanes. So usually I just drive like 5 hours to Atlanta, drop off a rental car, fly to China. So I came back, my buddy comes to Atlanta, picks me up, brings me back to his house in Knoxville. He has a roommate. It's a typical 4-bedroom, 2-story, $750 a month Tennessee Knoxville home. It's a decent house. He has roommates, whatever. So we go up into his room, we're just chilling, and like 25 minutes goes by. I'm like, man, I need to use the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm looking around and I realize, the bathroom is not in his bedroom. So I'm going to have to go out. And like, I look down and I've already taken my shoes off at this point. Right. So I'm just like chilling there, like on this couch or whatever, just in socks. And I look over and I notice he's still wearing his shoes in his own bedroom, like sitting at his computer table. And I'm like, that's weird. And I'm like, I have to go out of his bedroom to use the bathroom, which means I may come into contact with his roommates. If they see me in socks, it's just going to be a weird thing. You know what I mean? Like I completely forgot, because I could totally, if I want to make a stretch and try to remember of how my friends would roast me, how your best friends are always there to like, put you down. Like I could totally see one of my friends be like, bro, why are you wearing socks? And then like a long list of, words I don't want to say, but like,
you know. So I'm like, it's not a stretch of the imagination to think an American, you know, would make fun of another American for not wearing shoes. So I asked my friend, I'm like, bro, like, I need to use the bathroom. Is it going to be weird if I like don't have socks on? He just looked at me and he had no idea how to answer that question. Doesn't even care. And he's just like, what? Like, I'm sitting over here, like, the first day, literally, I had just put my luggage down. You know, I had just got picked up from the airport. So 15 hours on a plane, and like I need to use the bathroom, and I'm like scared, you know what I mean? Like, and then beyond that, lining up, like my first convenience store, you know, my first few trips to the convenience store, how close is too close, you know, because in America, getting in somebody's personal space is like sometimes, you know, can have aggressive reactions, you know what I'm saying? And like I didn't want to like start, you know, like a fight or something, you know. I'm like, am I too close to you? Am I not in line? Like I have no idea what's going on here. And I forgot like how to make small talk with the clerk, like in English. So I was like really awkward, you know what I mean? They were just like, is this it? And I'm just like, I have no idea what to say.
Yeah, it's so weird. I have some things that I'm still not able to adjust to. I've lived in Colombia for extended periods of time, and you always they're very formal. You always say good morning, how are you, before anything. And then like whenever I go to like a restaurant or anywhere, they're like, you know, they come up to me like, two, and I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm like, good afternoon, how are you doing? You know, I just can't stop myself from saying good afternoon or good evening. It stuck with me so much, and it's something I just can't let go of now. And so I feel like, I don't know, like I feel like maybe I'm being rude or I'm cutting them off, and I'm like, and so I'm, you know, I was on a date and they're like, just two, it's two, you know, two people, you know, just get to the point, it's two people. So
was that in Florida? That sounds, I don't know why that sounds like a place, that sounds like something that would happen in New York to me. You know what I'm saying? Like more fast paced, like just to get us in there. Florida's crazy like that too. Man,
Tampa's Florida's not like the South, you know. I mean, it's like it's left out of the South. You know, North Florida is still considered part of the South, but Tampa, Orlando, and Miami, they're like the big cities in Florida. So
I've never been down there. I've only been to Panama City because my dad lives there. So. That's still like super North Florida, right? Like up there on the. Yeah,
it's still super North Florida. I think they even have a different time zone in Panama City. Right. It's they're an hour earlier.
Yeah, I think so.
But hopefully we'll meet up sometime.
Yeah, man.
You know.
So how's your Chinese going now? You say you're still doing it twice a week, right?
Yeah. 我的中文不好。
中文不好。最近没有进步吗？
Yeah. I will. Yeah. 我的中文越来越好。I want you to get better and better.
Yeah, man. That's good. We should just like talk in Chinese sometime for fun.
Yeah, I would love to. I'm pretty sure you can help me a lot with my with all the little things that, you know, that you would understand coming from an American perspective.
Yeah. I just put a video on TikTok with a Family Guy yelling back and forth the Oz. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I always check TikTok every day.
I have a buddy. He actually appeared in like my first YouTube video like a year and a half ago. His name is Josh, and he lives out in LA right now. But like, I was teaching him the first tone like one day, right? And I'm like teaching him like how to do the first tone, and I just remember like this like 4-minute back and forth. You know what I'm saying? Of him just trying to imitate me. And me like, no, this is how you do it. Yeah. And if you ever seen the episode of Family Guy where Stewie and Olivia are like performing on Broadway, and like he makes the comment, she's like, you missed the F sharp, and then they like go back and forth like doing F sharps at each other. So like, go watch the video on TikTok. And I just put like me teaching my friend the first tone in Chinese, be like, and then it's just like Stewie and Olivia yelling back and forth at each other in an F tone, and it sounds so funny.
I love it. I've seen every episode of Family Guy. I love that because they are big on like the redundant, like tedious things, and I don't know if other cultures understand that, but sometimes Americans love that just annoying repetitive stuff, like the frog thing they have in Family Guy where he just keeps trying to take the frog out of the window and it keeps falling off his spoon or whatever. I love that just absurd humor, and I think other cultures don't understand our humor, and then we maybe don't understand the humor of other cultures the same way. So that's something that's really hard to adapt to.
I'll tell you one thing: the comedy in China, like there's an actor. His name is Shen Peng, and he does like a bunch of. He's from the Northeast. He's from the Northeast, and it's just like that Dongbei, the accent. They have the R, like everything's like like Kaimar instead of Kaimar. It's like, but it's like the way like his style. Like you need to go watch like on Netflix. There's a movie called Pegasus. I mean, all of them have English names, but he's probably the pinnacle of like Chinese humor, and it is actually insanely funny. Like I can't even. You just look at him; he says like these little one-liners. Like everything he says is just hilarious, and I don't know how he does it. But I mean, it's like Jim Carrey, but like a chubby Chinese dude. Like everything, every scene, every moment, you're just like enjoying it and laughing. It's so great.
Yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there. So wrapping up a little bit. So what would be some of the best tips that you would give to someone wanting to learn Chinese? I see a lot of people wanting their kids to learn Chinese now. So what do you think would be the best thing to do? Like best tips?
I mean, obviously, if you have like a Chinese class or something that you can put your kid in, if we're just talking about kids, it's probably easier for them to go to class and learn. But if you're already grown up and you're like an adult, I was like 23 when I started learning. I was really particular with the way that I learned. I didn't want to learn it the way you want me to learn it. I want to learn it the way I want to learn it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. So I'm smart. I know more than everybody. So for anybody trying to learn Chinese from the beginning, I would say your mindset going into it is probably most important. If you go in thinking that if I just learn every word for the English words I know in Chinese and just like directly translate to it, I'll be able to learn, we'll be good. Like it's a whole completely different language. So you have to just be really open-minded and go into it as if you're starting with your native language from day one. So like if you're a 30-year-old male learning Chinese for the first time, you're a 0-year-old. You just were born in the Chinese world, right? Yeah. So I would recommend starting from listening and repetition, imitation. So like you can imagine how your parents, whoever raised you, taught you your first language. They would just hold an apple in front of your face and repeatedly say apple until you said apple, and they're like, good job, and then give you the treat, right? I mean, like that's how language is learned. So I would say watch TV, find a language friend to talk to, expose yourself to a native speaker speaking the language, and then listen to it until it doesn't sound foreign anymore.
Okay.
If you're learning Chinese and then you watch a Chinese TV show and you're like, what the heck is that? You are not doing it right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like it needs to, every single day, it needs to sound more and more normal, you know? And because for me, like, I was very scared about sounding weird. Yeah. Right. So some pronunciations in Chinese to my English ears just sounded weird. Like, I don't want to make that noise. I don't want to hold that tone. I don't want to aspirate that heavily. I don't want to make this weird thing with my throat, because if my buddy down the street heard me say this, he would flaunt me for an hour because I sound ridiculous. So like I was scared. You know what I mean? So I would say if you're going to learn Chinese, I would just say, listen to it until it doesn't sound weird anymore. You know, it doesn't sound foreign anymore. And then figure out the most enjoyable way for you to learn. Like, even if that is just like all TV, you know, like, because if you have to learn vocabulary, but if you do flashcards and you literally are not interested and you just don't want to do it, you go through 100 flashcards, you may remember like 2. So it's not even worth doing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So just find, because it's such a hard language and it takes such an extended amount of time and so much dedication and like motivation, and you're going to want to quit. You're going to want to, you know, there's blood, sweat, and tears. It's not something that you can just do in a weekend. Okay. Yeah. This isn't, you know, like this is, you're in it for the long haul. So just go into it with the right mentality, find a method that you enjoy, and then just try to listen to where it doesn't sound weird anymore. And that would probably be, I wrote all this down, so.
Oh, that's good. That's great. That's great advice. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, a lot of people, they like, this is strange. Or what is this? Just accept it. It's different. It's strange. Yeah. That's the word. That is by definition, it is strange. It's something different. Right. So accept it and don't try to just like make it fit into your reality. Just move yourself into their reality.
Yeah,
So
that's a good way to sum it up.
Yeah.
Your English is much better than mine. I'm sorry.
No, man. That's another thing. I'm passionate about English as well. I love languages, but So I was going to ask you what is your favorite word in Chinese that you don't think has a translation into English?
Okay, cool. So I have two. I have a vocabulary word and then like a little phrase.
Oh, go for it.
So the vocabulary word is just 缘分.
缘分.
就是我可以说我跟你很有缘分，我可以说我们俩很有缘分，我们有缘分. So we have like me and you specifically because like the way that we met. Because like I just started making TikTok videos after giving up a 1.5 year long career of YouTube. I'm like, I'm going to switch a platform and just see what happens. Just so happened my videos did good. Was seen by your Chinese teacher who just so happened recommended my videos to you. And you just so happened to have like a translation thingy. And it just so happened that we could do this. Like all of this just so happened to be like that in English. Yeah. All this stuff you'd have to say in Chinese is just 缘分.
缘分.
Yeah.
Oh. That's pretty good. I love that. I love that about languages.
Yeah, and it's cool, man. It's a cool word. And then
how is it again? How you say it?
缘分.
缘分.
Yep.
缘分. Okay. I love it.
And it's something that you have. So you say like we have 缘分. 我们很有缘分. 我们有缘分. Yeah.
我们有缘分. I like that.
And then the 辛苦了. You know that?
No, what's that one?
辛苦了. Do you know? 辛苦 is like hardships, troubles. Like 你很辛苦 means like you're working 14 hours a day and you're like driving yourself into the ground, like super hard working. You're like, whatever. It's like 很辛苦. Or like certain jobs where you have to lift really heavy objects or like, cut down trees. This type of job is like laborious. It's very tiresome. It's very hard to do. Is 辛苦. So in Chinese, like if you ask someone to help you do something, like if you're like, hey, Kyle, can we do another interview next Friday? But it's going to take like an hour. And I'm like, yeah, sure. You could say to me like, 辛苦了. Right? It's like, I'm troubling you, or you're going to have to go through some hard laborious task. Right? Yeah. But in English, we just be like, man, I really appreciate you. I owe you one. Yeah. Right? But in Chinese, it's just 辛苦了.
辛苦了.
Yeah, 辛苦了. I really like that. There's no translation for it, but I love that word.
Yeah, I think of things all the time that there's no translation for.
All the time.
I'm trying to think of a word for the feeling you get whenever you connect to someone in a different language. There should be one word for that. And let's try to think of one sometime, and we'll coin it and we'll submit it to the dictionary.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but so what are your goals for the future? What are you planning to do?
My goal, get my TikTok to 1 million subscribers, become the face of Mandarin learning culture in America. I'm shooting for the stars here.
You'll definitely get. I 100% believe in you. You're great.
Yeah.
You have the passion. You have the understanding. You have the ability to relate to people. I support you 100% in that.
And so that's really what I'm going to do, man. And just, use this to set off my career, make videos, help people learn, and just travel. Honestly, I'd like to travel too. That'd be fun. But
yeah. I'm hoping to go to China this year or the beginning of next year. So
the beginning of next year is probably going to be for me. So let's hang out sometime.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to go at the same time.
Yeah.
So thank you for your for being here and talking to us. I want everyone to just know this guy's amazing. Follow him on TikTok. If you follow him on his old YouTube, how can everyone follow you? How can everyone get in touch with you, Kyle?
My TikTok name's actually easier. It's just Mandarin Kyle.
Kyle.
No spaces. I don't even think you have to make the K capital, even though it is capital. I don't think it matters. If you type in Mandarin, like you'll see my name come up. Like it's up there in the algorithm. Yeah, it's up there.
It's getting pretty big up. Your channel's getting pretty big. A lot of people are getting a lot of value from it. Anything else you want to contribute or tell us about, or any other way to contact you?
Actually, just TikTok is probably the main hub because I have my YouTube and my Instagram linked, like on that button or whatever on TikTok. So, and then the name on TikTok just happens to be the simplest one. So, I mean, like, if you want to like contact me directly, like direct message, you know, usually people like go through Instagram and then you accept that or whatever. So like all ways to contact me, all my content, everything I'm doing, YouTube, Instagram, everything is just on TikTok. So Mandarin Kyle. It's really easy. So
thank you so much.
I try to make it easy for everybody.
Shinkula, I really helped you. I really
look at that.
Appreciate you being here.
You polygot you. Look at you.
No, I'm just trying to relate. You know, I'm trying to.
You're a master. You just heard it. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm really happy to have you here. I think you're gonna really help our followers too, because we're a translation company. I mean, it goes hand in hand. Everything is really good together. So I really appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. Everyone just please get in touch with him, you know, get to know him. He's going to be a really important figure when it comes to understanding Chinese culture from an American perspective. So thank you.
Thank you for being the first to believe in me and the first person to give me a platform to do anything like this. So anything that happens in the future, I mean, like, it's always going to be contributed to like this. So
we're all going to grow together. It's exciting. We're all going to go together, man. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
It's literally you and fun. So,
and fun. Yeah, she seems a little Chinese too.
Fun.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome, Alejandra. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name as cool as Sean can. I can't just I can't say it with
passion.
I can't say that.
Spanish is a very passionate language.
And I need some more passion. Maybe some Spanish.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Thank you guys for being here, and see you on the second episode, Sean.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye.